New month, new week, new money. It's Crossing Lines on a Monday here. Time to get it started in style. Why? We got National Football League coverage live on Thursday night with the Hall of Fame game. He's Jeff Nadu. I'm Donnie Rightside. We are Crossing Lines here. Welcome into the new week, Jeff. Busy weekend here as we get closer and closer to the regular season in football and college football.
I want to shout out our guest on Friday, Josh, who I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the card in UFC over the weekend. You know, I got to tell you, I really like UFC. I've been getting into it more and more. I just enjoy it. I think it's great. Fights are pretty interesting. A lot of them went, I think, kind of how him and I thought they would. But, you know, all in all, a good weekend. You know, another week closer to football, which the NFL begins ceremoniously this week with the Hall of Fame game. Training camp battles continue. We have 3 more Saturdays till college football starts. We're in the final 10 yards.
Yes, and also trade deadline day in Major League Baseball. Some big doings, which we will get to, Jeff. But I know I see the picture in the background there. Another death in the family there for the Sopranos over the weekend. Vincent Pastore, who I actually sat directly behind at a Hall & Oates concert in Atlantic City about 5 to 6 years ago, passes away. 80 years old, Jeff.
Yeah, Vincent Pastore, as you said, died on Saturday. Just, that's the sad part about life. You know, We're all getting older, and so are our favorite stars. You know, when The Sopranos debuted in 1999. Yeah, Vincent Pastore was in his 50s, right? Yeah. You think of him as the black-haired guy, but, they get older. I got to tell you, I actually did not know he was 80 years old. I thought he was like in his early 70s, but I thought he looked pretty good for his age. Anybody that I talked to that knew Vincent Pastore told me that he was a very much a Bronx guy, still lived in the area, just, went to the military, got into acting, had a great life, was always, in mob films. I mean, he was in so many films and TV outside of Sopranos. I mean, that's obviously his biggest role. But I have to say, I think him in the show, I think he's one of the best characters we don't talk about. He obviously had a kind of a sad end and a bad end for him, but I always say I think one of the best scenes in the show is on the boat with him and Tony and Paulie and Sylvia, where he's killed. Obviously, it's a tremendously good scene because it's them realizing what, he's like a brother to us, but in the end he has to go because he's betrayed us. Donnie, I don't know if you know this, but there actually was a real big pussy in the real mafia. And there are some actual connections between his character and the real life big pussy. But yeah, a sad story. He was in some great roles. Tony's now gone, Paulie gone, big pussy now gone in real life.
Exactly. Just got to get the 4K remastered stuff here on The Sopranos. But again, life gets older. It's amazing. You see some of these guys now give interviews and just see how old they are, as if we always thought Richie Aprile would stay exactly the same look as we saw him in 99, 2000, 2001. The same thing with the rest of the guys here. But every day creeps further, but you can always dip back into it. Man, I watch the clips and the highlights of The Sopranos all the time. Like and subscribe. You see it right there. YouTube, social media, every single day. More and more subscribers here. We're now, Jeff, in the month of August. You know what that means? Big things here. It's almost time to get out there in full handicapping mode, baby. Almost.
Yeah, not to just beleaguer this, but again, Donnie, you have to agree that when he says, he tells that story and it's fake, obviously, and then he just looks at me and he realizes, I'm not going to be able to get out of this. And he says, not in the face, okay? Give me that. And then Tony says, they say, you were like a brother to me. That scene is so good. The show is obviously fantastic, but you would agree that scene is just, even Tony's sick. You can tell, They all just look like they don't want to do it, but they have to. That's the best episode of the show to me. Funhouse, the final episode of season 2. I think it's the best episode in the show.
Yeah, people always get sad with Show because I think they liked him generally as a character overall. Oh, yeah. So it's always sad to see the character go because he only comes back in hey, look backs and dreams and all that stuff. But at that point, it was a wrap there at that point. You're like, hey, you know what? Life moves on. Same thing in The Sopranos at that point here. My favorite, but probably the Pine Barrens episode there. What was that? What did they actually call it? It wasn't called Pine Barrens, was it? What was the one that get lost in the woods?
Pine Barrens. Yeah, a lot of the fans like that episode. I don't
laughed my ass off the whole time.
Yeah,
I'll
but
leave you
see,
here, Paulie.
yeah, no, I think that's what cheapened the show. The comedy, there was too much of it. Like it's the mafia. It's not funny, but yeah, it is a very good episode. It shows you know, also like you would agree that the Russian absolutely survived. I mean,
Yes. Yeah. They
yeah.
just said like he needed to come back in a later season to sort of front that up, but
Have you ever heard
it died on the vine.
Have you ever heard like there's actually supposed to be a lost episode where he is in one of them where Christopher goes to like collect money from that Slava guy.
Yeah.
And he sees the Russian. He's like working. He's like supremely like mentally developmental now where like I guess the shot obviously bothered him and like he was like essentially like retarded basically after that. And this guy gives him a job and Christopher sees him and he just leaves. Supposedly there is talk of that. I don't know if it obviously never came out, but
do you know what they were stalking him with, Jeff? What was the terminology they use? What is he stalking us with is cock.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, the put the remote on docking station is a funny scene.
Look at this guy giving orders out here. Yep, yeah. Buffs it. And again, you see Christopher in that scene like, Paulie, like, dude, we're just picking up an envelope. Can we just get out of here? And do you know what entails after that, man? My goodness. By the way, I was always surprised in that scene, too, how this guy was like a Green Beret. And even though he was older, how were they able to hold him down in that apartment? No way. He would have kicked both of their asses.
The Russian Green Beret, right.
Yeah.
I also like the scene where they're in the woods and he's like, you think this is cold? He goes,
yeah.
And he talks about like prison and everything. Yeah, it's like, again, the episode is kind of hard to believe. I mean, as you alluded to, like, Christopher was a puke, really, if we're being honest. And Paulie was like 60. So, like, that Green Beret would have won that fight.
Yeah, he would have won. They're not holding the guy down with his legs and choking him out with anything at that point either. But it's always good to go down memory lane with the Sopranos here. And again, Vincent Pastore passes away at 80 years old. I got to find the picture. I have the back of his head from in front of me there at the Hall & Oates concert. I'll find that one out. But, Jeff, nice. It is deadline day, Major League Baseball. But as you saw the graphic that we just posted up just a few moments ago, football on Thursday night here. You're going to see it live. You're going to see the telecast. There's going to be Mike Tirico, Hall of Fame game, and also players get inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend as well. Canton, Ohio, the place to be, starts Thursday night, August 6th, Jeff. And then what is it, like the last, Thursday or first Thursday, and then we go all the way through late February with football on our TV. It's wonderful to see it play out, and we're finally going to get a taste of it. Terrible game in the Cardinals and the Panthers, but that's besides the point. It's football. It's back.
Yeah. Some of the worst people in society are like things you just said, like a terrible game. Like, yeah, and we know it's preseason. Yeah. Nobody's watching it from a standpoint of like, hey, I cannot wait to see like the second string left tackle on the Panthers. But
like, unless it's your team, right, Jeff? Like we watch an Eagles game in a preseason a lot different than other people. But you're right. The national audience is like, who's this guy? I'm like, ooh, man, he's flashing. But you know what I do love, Jeff, about training camps now get underway? Like all of the guys that will never make the team, like this guy's amazing. Like, stop it, man. People fall in love with these dudes. I will say though,
like the game is interesting from the term of like Carson Beck. Obviously, he was just with the Miami Hurricanes. He went to the finals. Obviously, he's battling. Look, I get it. It's just cool to have it back on TV, right? As we've talked about, it's not some like game from 6 years ago that's on the NFL Network. You also look at the Hall of Fame inductees. Pretty good list overall. Obviously Drew Brees,
right?
Surely a Hall of Famer. Larry Fitzgerald, one of the better receivers ever. Luke Kuechly was a terrific defensive player. Adam Vinatieri, one of the best kickers of all time. And then Roger Craig, who, won the Super Bowl three times.
Thousand guy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good list, if we're being honest.
It is good. And usually the NFL does it right at that point, but I just hate when they get to the veteran committees and put them in and people start feeling bad and, take me off the list. Oh, no, we'll put you in this year. But as Jeff points out, man, I didn't like Drew Brees at all. The guy was an ultimate stat patter, but who's going to argue that Drew Brees isn't a Hall of Famer? Like you said the name Drew Brees, Hall of Fame. There's not even an argument to counter Drew Brees being in the Hall of Fame. That's what I like about it. Like when Larry Fitzgerald, yeah, he was good. No, what do you mean he was good? That guy, Larry Fitzgerald, what do you think? Hall of Fame talent, 1,000%.
He and Calvin Johnson, I think, at one point were the two best receivers in the NFL by a pretty wide margin. Yeah, all those are deserved. And we talked about Hall of Fames, what was it, last week or recently?
Yeah.
Obviously, the MLB is a little bit more free as far as who they're putting in. But I would say all these people, you would probably think that the weakest person, at least on that list, is Roger Craig, who's more of like a senior finalist, but still a guy who, as you said, had a great career, all very worthy. NFL Hall of Fame is supposed to be a pretty cool place. A lot of people rave about it.
Yeah, never been there. Might have to make a trek out there. But, Jeff, over the weekend, we're not on the air. So we go off the air Friday, right around lunchtime, Saturday, Sunday, recharge the batteries, come back Monday. And today is the Major League Baseball trade deadline day. But the biggest story already happened. Late Saturday night breaking news. Tarik Skubal from the Detroit Tigers, back-to-back Cy Young award-winning seasons in the American League. He's now a Dodger for 3 guys you never heard of and probably will never hear from again. So I'm going to start this here, Jeff. It was no surprise that Skubal got traded, and it was no surprise that he went to the Dodgers. But then to see what the Dodgers got back, and now we're all looking for the future, saying, what's the chance that anybody else but the Dodgers, Jeff, actually wins a World Series here in 2026? And oh, by the way, Dodgers won the previous 2. This is like, hey, all in the season. No, they're all in every year. They're looking for 3 in a row.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that and why I think we obviously need a salary cap in baseball. It's getting ridiculous, and I'll talk about that. But, yeah, you look, we talked about this. The Detroit Tigers, I think, had thoughts that, maybe we can compete. They actually went on a little run. Then they fell off and thought, you know what, we've got to finally get younger. And they do. They were going to get, look, on the surface, nothing. But that said, he is the number 5 prospect. He has hit and done pretty well. Zaire Hope. Look, I'm not going to try to tell you that that's a fair trade because it's not, but we won't really know. At the end of the day, though, he was going to be released and removed. The Tigers obviously have to get younger. They didn't really want to realize that for a while, and they did. But you'd look at their rotation now. We talked about this in June, right, or July. They had some weakness at the back of the roster, the rotation. SKUBAL, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto. And pick and choose who you want and where you want to put them. SKUBAL will be one, and everybody else. Yeah, the Brewers are still really good. The Brewers didn't really do anything to get better, and that's my issue with them. They can spend money, right? The Dodgers just are willing to spend more than everybody else. The Brewers, Donnie, have the 19th highest payroll in the MLB. The Dodgers second. We need a salary cap, right?
We do, because, and you look at and this comes from, again, like if you, and I had a video out this weekend, Jeff. It's like if you're a Dodgers fan, you have to remove yourself from the equation. You love it. It's your Dodgers, hey, screw everybody else. We understand that. But I always get back to, like, even me, Jeff, and you're a Yankees fan. I'm a Phillies fan. We're always top spenders when they say we, the teams that we cheer for. And technically, we wouldn't want to see a cap, but it's always, Jeff, isn't it about, like, the greater good? Like, when me and you do content together, like, we argue, we go back and forth, but we don't, like, hey, you ass, get off. I don't ever, like, the greater good is Jeff and I doing content together, being happy, and the people like that product. In Major League Baseball, it should be that way. Because in the NFL, I always go back to the same stories you heard, Jeff. New York is the biggest market in the United States. And 50 years ago, Wellington Mara could have been like this, Jeff. I don't give a shit about Green Bay. I'm going to spend as much as I want, and we'll steamroll Green Bay, and Green Bay won't exist. You know why the NFL is great? Green Bay is a power in the NFL. Green Bay is a power player in this. They don't even have an owner. They're owned publicly at this point. But the fact that New York, Jeff, and let's just say the Dallas Cowboys, can't go out and go, we have a $500 million cap for ourselves, and Green Bay is going to spend around $137 million. That's what makes it great. First day of the season, Jeff. Teams believe, obviously, talent discrepancy beside, they can win. In Major League Baseball, the way we're going with the Dodgers is, why couldn't they spend unlimited amount of funds and nobody else? Now, granted, you make up a good point. Like, Major League Baseball owners are making really good money. But when you look at the Dodgers, Jeff, they made $1.1 billion in revenue last year. You know what the Pirates made? $330. So not everybody is the same out there, and you're right. A salary cap brings everybody back to a chance, which is the greater good. Same thing in the NBA, right, Jeff? Oklahoma City. They should be able to compete with the teams in Los Angeles and Boston. You know what they do? There's aprons out there that teams can't go over, which means they can compete with the other teams.
Right. And again, this is why, in a year or two, there's probably going to be some sort of lockout, right? I mean, eventually.
1,000%.
Yeah. Now, again, it has to happen. And look, if we don't have baseball, we don't have baseball. But we have to get some sort of situation and system, just like every other sport. Dodgers are 69-43. Okay, there are still other really good teams out there. Here's the problem, though. Yeah, the Brewers were trying to get Tarik Skubal as well. That didn't happen. Brewers could have spent more money and got Tarek Skubal. The question I have for you is, Donnie, where would you rather go? Milwaukee?
Yeah, exactly. Who does
or
go to
LA?
Milwaukee? Not even close.
It's
and
pretty
also like
simple.
the chance to win. Like Tarek Skubal's not. Hey, I won 6 championships already. Like he's, and I don't want to say getting up there in age, but close to 30. Let me get that title. Let me be the front line. Let me live out there in good weather. Let me have a great team. Like who would not want to go to a great baseball team? It's not Tarek Skubal's fault. They trade him for the best package. But here's always the part, Jeff. Like in the NBA, like we used to hear about like the bird rights. Like, hey, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum. If you're on their team, Jeff, you know what you can do? You can pay them more than anybody else in the association, which is a draw to stay home and try to override it. But which Major League Baseball team is like, okay, I'm going to get Skubal for 5 starts, and then the Dodgers are just going to sign him at the end of the year anyway at this point because they can outspend everybody and we'll do that. We'll pay him $500 million and defer 90% of that down the line. Now, when we talk about the Dodgers bad for baseball, Jeff, here's my point. We're not playing baseball, at least for months on end next year. There's going to be a lockout. But, Jeff, do you feel like Major League Baseball colluded a little bit here at this point with other owners? Like, I'm not going on. Let him go to the Dodgers. Let's keep pressing that needle down because we want a cap. And apparently the Dodgers will oblige and have a super team, which means everybody else now is going to band together. You saw the package, Jeff. Hey, Dodgers gave up their number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 prospects. Congratulations to them. Their farm system is as strong as hell. They gave up 5, 13, and 20? Come on now.
Like, I don't understand. Like this post here, Andrew Friedman responds to the idea that his team is ruining baseball. Passionate that it's great. I mean, like I get he's going to say what he's going to say because he's the president of baseball operations. But like, if he's a businessman, right? All these people are businessmen in the end. If we're saying, like, how could you objectively say you're not ruining baseball? I'd like to understand that. Like, again, that's just owner speak and whatever they're doing. But yeah, baseball is absolutely broken. That's a great question there. It absolutely is. But on the other hand, those teams should spend more money.
By the way, and again, to bring up the Sopranos, Jeff. Do you remember Christopher was schooling the young guys on how you bleed some guy? Like don't take all the, extend them out. Next thing they're getting paid for 3, 4, and 5 years at this point. What the Dodgers are doing here also, Jeff, is if we do have a lockout, and they do put a salary cap in. You know where the Dodgers were smart down the line? They have deferred money on these guys. So there's physically no possible way that the Dodgers go into next season, there's a lockout, let's just say they agree on a salary cap of $250 million. And the Dodgers go, we got 6 or 7 guys that are going to get paid an exorbitant amount of money over the next 10 years that we deferred. You got to grandfather those in. So the Dodgers would win again. Like they're not going to tell Blake Snell or let's just say Shohei Ohtani, hey, by the way, that deal that you had deferred, rip that up, and now you make a fraction of that. They're still going to have the biggest payroll in baseball by a wider margin because they use that to their advantage here. We're going to have a lockout for a long time. It's going to be interesting to see how baseball, Jeff, does treat the Dodgers with all that deferred money.
You're not hype about Zaire Hope, AA star, going to Detroit? You're not hype about that?
Get the party started. And you look at the rotation too, Jeff. Remember what the Dodgers did last year? It wasn't even about the bullpen. Like, they would throw like a starting ace. And then in the 6th inning, Jeff, they'd bring in another ace starter behind them. Good Lord.
SKUBAL, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto. I mean, Yamamoto is having a great season. He could be your, final starter, right?
Yes.
It is pretty. And you know what you could also do now? You can now put guys who, like Sasaki, for instance. He's not a starter.
Yes,
but you convert him and put him on the back end, and you say, okay.
Yep.
We put you in this situation. Like you can, this is like having a great NFL roster. Like we're going to talk about the Houston Texans, right? Yeah. Very good defense. You add a very serviceable guy that you don't need him to start, right?
Yeah.
So you can now make moves. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. You obviously just got to hope, all these guys who are coming back off injury, which they have a few of, those situations kind of figure themselves out and they don't have setbacks and stuff like that. But I'll ask you, you're betting baseball. You're looking long term. Mm-hmm. What do you make the Dodgers to win the World Series? Like, what would be your price that you would set?
Oh, there would be no, you would get no juice on it. It'd be plus 100, Jeff.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like,
wow,
you
really?
Versus the rest of baseball is what it feels like for me.
Interesting. Because they're plus 160, right, to win the World Series. Mm-hmm. So you're getting plus money back.
Yes.
Obviously, the Brewers. So you put no stock in them. I mean, in the NL, you have to say the Brewers, the Braves, I mean, no one on the AL side really worries me. So
like I like the Yankees because they're going to get healthier, Jeff. But again, you bring up a good point. Let's just say the Brewers give up a couple prospects, and you go, okay, we're not as good as the Dodgers, but Mizorowski, SKUBAL 1-2. We can go toe to toe and beat you in both of those games. And now they don't have that.
Yeah, and that's why that's this is the difference between, and that's why if I'm Friedman, like I'm like, you know what? Just spend more, right? I do what I have to do. We do what we have to do. You can do what you have to do, right? That would have, you think about that. Mizorowski, who we would agree, it's 1-2 him and SKUBAL.
Yes.
Put them on the same team.
Yes. That's what they wanted with Valdez, and it didn't work. So, and again, you would be renting him. No, you wouldn't sign him, but you're you're still a legitimate contender now because they're good. But you elevate because, as Jeff points out too, when you get to the playoffs, it's 5 and 7 games that you're probably going to look at the Dodgers. And the Dodgers in game number 4 can start Yamamoto for 6 innings and Snell comes in for 3. It's ridiculous. But you could put the Dodgers on the ropes right away with the starting pitchers in your games 1 and 2.
And at the end of the day, baseball fans miss out because about that NLCS, Dodgers, Brewers, you got the Dodgers full flight starters. You got Mizorowski and SKUBAL. It's sick. You know, it's great. Yeah, it sucks. But this is why there's going to be a salary cap and there's going to be a lockout at some point.
There's a lockout 1,000%. Like, we're going to do a lot of, come April next year and get ready for the WNBA because baseball, and you look at some of the predictive markets, Jeff, and over, for let's just say early spring, like, you could get close to 70-30 money between 70% that there's going to be a lockout, which is probably a little bit different than that December 1st, the CBA expires in Major League Baseball. No way they're going to have a deal December 1st. This is going right up to camp, and I'm telling you right now, both of these sides are absolutely dug in and just pushing them farther over. Because, I'm not saying, Jeff, it would have helped. SKUBAL does go to the Brewers, and the Brewers win the World Series. So lessons to blow. Dodgers go win 3 in a row with that payroll. Absolutely amazing stuff here, Jeff. Some other top stories, because the deadline is today, Jeff. Go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, Jeff Passan says that when there is a lockout, we should not blame the Dodgers.
Oh, we should blame the Dodgers. We absolutely should.
But why shouldn't we, Jeff? I mean,
yes, correct.
Again, this is media now. Just say what you want to say, and the rest figures itself out. But I mean, idiot.
And again, there's no rule with what the Dodgers aren't doing, but the Dodgers have the biggest payroll in baseball because they have the most money and they can spend more money. So again, going out the window, everybody can spend money. No, they don't, Jeff. Like, Jeff, if I told you, hey, Jeff makes $1 million a year, I make $50,000 a year. You could go out there and spend and get. No, you can't. No, you can't.
And also, to all you people out there, you thought this spring and summer was cool with the World Cup. You got a little baseball. You imagine next year, back to COVID times, folks.
Yeah.
That's where we are again. Because
oh my God,
I don't know. We should start figuring out pickleball leagues and shit like that. Because from April until August next year, find a motherfucking hobby because you ain't gonna have much to do.
Nope. You have to get on you're going to have to tell people day by day how you fast, how you work out, take those videos and whatever you get at this point. But it is the deadline today, which will happen later today. The Phillies get Luis Ariz. Nice move. Leads Major League Baseball in batting average. The Phillies have terrible batting average. A move that actually makes some sense. Now, does it vault them to the top of the standings? No. But if you look for the perfect fit, SKUBAL would fit anybody perfectly, right? Luis Ariz in that lineup for the Phillies, actually making contact and getting base hits, hitting .324 right now to lead Major League Baseball. He goes to the Phillies, Jeff. Happened this morning.
Right, and you add in another left-handed bat on a team who has some pretty good left-handed bats already, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. You're going to have to screw around with your infield, which they're going to do. Obviously, they're going to move
Harper
Bryce
to the
Stott.
outfield.
Bryson Stott goes to third base. Yeah, Arias is just a really solid player. Good hitter. Won the batting title, a few years already, hitting .324. Actually, a very nice move for once.
It is.
And it should pay some dividends. Obviously, we live in this area, so I see a lot of Phillies fans. They're upset. They're irritated. But nice little move. They'll figure it out in the infield. It's a remade one now.
Yep, exactly. Other ones in the transaction market, Jeff. The Cubs get Gausman as well as Peralta to the Rays and some other trades here. They're going to filter in all afternoon until the trade deadline actually passes. Watching right now, Bob Nightingale, outfielders on the move. Baltimore Orioles' Taylor Ward has been informed that he's been traded to the Seattle Mariners. So you'll see teams tooling up here to help. And now, Jeff, which, we're going to talk Major League Baseball in about 10 to 15 minutes, talking about the haves and the have-nots. It's clear, Jeff. Some teams are in. A lot of teams are out right now. The taxes are going to go up for those favorites here. The underdogs, much harder to pick. But there you go. SKUBAL to the Dodgers, Peralta to the Rays, Molly to the Braves, Minter to the Twins, Thomas Gaussman. By the way, sneaky for your Yankees, Jeff. Luis Garcia, man, has been on an absolute power tear. Nice little move. Left-handed back for that short porch, too, as you wait for Bellinger, Judge, and Stanton to get back in that lineup. Good move there.
It is. I wanted to talk about Gaussman. You look at the Cubs, right? Very good lineup. That rotation blows. Even with Gaussman. Gaussman stinks. I hate to tell you. Gaussman had a good April. I mean, take a look at where he's been since. 35 years old. This is one of those, it sounds like a good move. Oh, they got a good, you got to love that too. 2-time All-Star Kevin Gaussman. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, he was an All-Star 10 years ago. Great. Yeah. But no, I mean, you look at his stats in May, June, and July. Terrible. He's not been good. He's 35 years old, surely on a downswing. Look, good strikeout guy, but he's not the same pitcher. You look at that rotation, Matt Boyd, I mean, Imanga, just kind of middle of the road people, right? Yeah. Great lineup. They're a group that they'll bow out early. They can hit a little bit, obviously, as we know, but that rotation's not good enough. Yeah, got some injuries early on. Also, Jeff, around the news in soccer, which I can't figure this out. Like, if you are UEFA and you are FIFA and you have, the other federations around the world, you print money when you make these big tournaments. You just saw how much money, Jeff, FIFA made at the World Cup. Went off without a hitch. They expanded the teams. Everybody was happy. So now this whole generation of, well, let's really cash in and sell to like private equity and shares on the World Cup. Can't we just have one governing body with the sport in mind that already makes a ton of money? Because you know what private equity does down the line. Strips and tries to make a profit. Like the world's game, the poor people's game, the rich people's game. It's soccer, Jeff. Why do we want to have shares and stakes in the World Cup? Ridiculous, man. It is. I mean, this guy was sent to destroy for what it is. And look, sadly, all he cares about is his own pocket. He's essentially a mobster. I've said that time and time again. Who was the guy before, Jeff? That was Sepp Blatter? I guess you're the leader of the crime family once you get in there and you just want to steal. Yeah, for sure. And look, when you become something like this, look, I would steal too, obviously. I'm not going to lie. I mean, who wouldn't? When you could steal and get away with it, who wouldn't steal? But yeah, it's a shame because, look, the way they do tournaments and all that stuff, it's actually quite good. I mean, they seemingly always get everything right, soccer, whether it be with the Champions League, whether it be with, whatever. It's a shame. But look, everything's about money. It just is. Good for them warning they're going to sue. I've always said, though, don't warn you're going to sue. Just do it. Just do it. Send the paperwork over. You know what I mean? Because if I'm Infantino, you know what I'm doing with that with that paperwork? I'm ripping it up. Look, I've received suits myself. I rip them up. Sue me if you want. I don't give a shit. Exactly. Go ahead. And then we got to go to discovery. Oh, wait, we can't go to discovery. All right, well, what did that lawsuit end up being at that point? So, yeah. Toilet paper. I see this and I say to myself, you have such a good thing going now. It's like, let's just throw it into the unknown because you would cash in now as opposed to later. It's when you hear, Jeff, about some of these teams in college, like private equity getting into college sports, and they go, you give me $50 million now, but what happens in 5 years when you tell me I can't hire this coach and we used to have 10 assistants, now we're going to have 7, and ticket sales go prices go way up, and next you're selling hot dogs for like $32. Like private equity strips it, man. Well, if you I mean, I know you're not big in as far as following like the ownership groups in soccer, but take a look at the ownership groups and like who own these teams now, right? That's kind of where we're getting to. But look, that's where you give guys like you look at someone like Arthur Blank, right? He owns Atlanta United, which is in the MLS. Yeah. You look at like their pricing. Like, you ever look at that? And the Falcons. And the Falcons have that. He does it as a whole, right? It's pretty impressive. But yeah, the whole like suing, just sue me. Someone threatened to sue me on Saturday. They sent me a comment on YouTube. I'm going to sue you. I said, go ahead. I laughed. Go ahead. Well, that's so good. By the way, Jeff, Polk is back. Pochettino back for U.S. Yes. Good move there till 2030. Keep the vibes going. Maybe have some continuity now. I don't think anybody looked at that and was like, oh, I hope he goes back to Argentina or takes a job in Serie A. I like this move. I told you all throughout.
sometimes you can look at a coach, Jeff, and just the way they present themselves, and it looks like the players can believe, I love this move here. Pochettino back here for another run at a World Cup in 2030.
Well, I'll tell you this. I was blown away by this. I got to tell you, because there's been a lot of talk in the Italian media that he was going to sign with AC Milan.
Yes.
And look, he has obviously shown interest in wanting to go back to Europe. I got to tell you, I don't know I don't know if this will last. I really don't.
Big paper, Jeff. Big paper. What'd they give him?
Well, and
whatever
4
you
years
want,
is
kid.
a long time, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I heard a great point made by somebody that, you know, on ESPN or somewhere. I don't think people realize when you're the coach of the U.S., like the slog of like the Gold Cup and all that stuff, it's just, is it going to be competitive enough for him?
Yeah.
Versus going to like, look, Milan is one of the best teams in Europe, right? Or one of the best, especially in Italy. Going back there, going back to the Premier League. There was talk last year that he was going to go to Brentford in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder. I remember they got rid of the previous coach and kind of brought him in kind of in this waiting period. So I think it's papering over the cracks right now. We'll see if he stays. He seems to have an interest in building it. But you think about being a national coach, right? A lot of downtime, right? There's only so much you can do. You watch your counterparts playing and winning and doing things. Plus, remember, he is a guy who's been at some of the best clubs in the world, right? I mean, this isn't some middle-of-the-road guy on the end. I remember, like, Marcello Lippi used to be the coach at Italy. He won the World Cup in 2006. At that time, he was one of the best managers. But by the end of his career, he's the National League coach in like China, right? It's, you know, he's not at that point, Pochettino. He's still a guy who, you know, has had some great managerial jobs. I mean, you remember, he was just a coach at Chelsea, right? He was just a coach at PSG. So it's not like he's been off the area for a while. So I have to wonder if this will last. Hopefully it will.
You're right about one thing, because you come off the high of the World Cup. There's no higher high in soccer than playing in the World Cup, playing at a high level in front of all those fans. And he was adored by the U.S. fans, serenaded. But you're right. Now you spend time like, oh, I'm going to take a trip out to Kansas City to watch this player. Then you're going to fly out to L.A. and watch this player. And it's like, okay, we don't really play meaningful games for a while. And it's great that you're going to get a paycheck and time off, but these guys like to work, man. They love soccer. And you're right. Like Serie A and the EPL, 40 games, 50 games a year. Yeah.
I would love to know. I would love to read the wording in this contract. I would love to know like what it means. Like if let's say in like a year, right, or let's say in 3 months, or in a week.
And why can't he for like 2 years coach a Serie A team?
Yeah, that's. I wondered about that myself. It's too much because again, remember you have to like World Cup qualifying will start pretty soon, and given the circumstance, you just can't. I agree with what you're saying. Why can't you play baseball while you play basketball? I don't know. It's just there's a lot going on that you don't think about. But I wonder. I have to ask if Milan comes in a week and says, "Look, we'll give you, $2 million more a year or something." I'd love to see the wording in this contract. Does it allow him an openness to go out and do other things? I don't know.
Jeff, I love conspiracy theories. I love interesting things. DEEBO Samuel goes back to San Francisco, not because they wanted him. He's a necessity now because why? The entire team feels like it gets injured all the time. Have you seen any of the pictures, Jeff, of that giant substation across the street, which makes me laugh? And you see over the past decade or so, the injury levels that the 49ers have. So DEEBO comes back, but my more question to you is, if you run the 49ers, and there is just something out there that's in these players' heads that feel like they get injured more because of the substation, don't you just uproot them to like a better field 2 or 3 miles away, rebuild your facility over the next year and a half somewhere else, and just get back to business? There has to be something to the substation, and I can't get over it, where everybody gets hurt all the time for the Niners, and they're trying to put those fires out daily.
Yeah, I would have to think if something's not going right and there's something happening outside, you would assume that it has something to do with it. It's kind of like, again, I was watching a My 600-Pound Life, right?
Yes.
And
great show.
One of the most memorable episodes of the show involves a kid called Sean. I don't know if you remember this kid, but he is the biggest person to ever be on the show, right? He was like almost 1,000 pounds, right?
Damn.
And there were 3 episodes on him, and him and his mom were whining to Dr. Now because, again, he's nearly 1,000 pounds, Donnie. And Dr. Now wants him on an 800-calorie diet.
Ooh,
and his mother's whining, saying, we think that's a little extreme. And I'm thinking, extreme? 1,003 pounds, for Christ's sakes. That's a bit extreme. And he's talking about, I'd like a burger. I think I deserve a burger. But I'm thinking to myself, like, it's pretty simple to understand why he's so fat, right?
Yeah.
He has an enabling mother who gives him what he wants and is basically killing him. It's very similar to this substation thing. If we remove the substation and go somewhere else, we'd probably assume that we don't have the injuries. Look, in sports anymore, I don't try to think about what I would do because, again, they generally just do the opposite of what they think we would do. This is, though, a move he had to make. We talked about this. Ricky Pearsall, obviously, season-ending knee surgery. They saw that coming. They saw the writing on the wall. They needed to add someone. They needed to bring it back. By the way, also, did you see Samuel's comment? I knew I'd always get back here. And it's like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. Why you were like bad-mouthing them on Instagram Live and whatever the hell else you do. How does it work, by the way? Do you just come back into the thing and be like, hey, it's all business?
Yeah, like we're boys. Like Jaylen Brown come to the Sixers saying like, well, Bronny's not even an NBA player. Now LeBron's in there like, hey, dap it up. It's all good. Yeah, I hear you, man.
I didn't mean that about
Jeff's such an asshole. I never would work with that guy. Okay, welcome to the Crossing Lines. Donnie Rightside, Jeff Nadu. Here we go. It's like, how does he do it? Yeah, how do you do it?
I will always say, and I've never had a person come up negative in life to me as far as this media shit. As long as you don't bring up my family, I really don't care what you say about me. It's your opinion, you know? But if you came up to me and were like, hey, I called you a fat piece of shit online, actually pretty cool in real life. Be like, you know what? Cool. You know? Like, I think it's that simple online. Like, you don't take anything too serious.
Yeah.
They're probably just like, you know what? Don't do that again. But we're good now. Like, let's play.
Yeah.
They need him. He needs them. You just did it, I guess.
Yeah, we'll continue back this too a little bit later in the show, Jeff. We're going to have you back here for the Cleveland Browns and get started with Shedeur Sanders and the boys. So we'll have some fun. Football season rolls along. But at this point right now, we're going to welcome in a guest to talk a little Major League Baseball action and the card today. And also what happened this weekend. And boy, those starting lineups going to look a lot different tonight from many different clubs here. Let's welcome in Greg Peterson. Greg, know you love yourself some baseball. What a weekend it was so far.
Oh, my goodness. When you get Tariq Skubal on the move Saturday night, we're seeing all the moves trickling in here on this Monday morning, Monday afternoon. It's a great time to be a baseball fan this year. Might not be next year, but this year it's great.
It is certainly great. And by the way, if you don't watch Greg there around social media, doing his part to get those shares up in Texas Roadhouse at this point. Yes. By the way, the Texas Roadhouse, wife and kids, we go there all the time. Wife always loads up on the biscuits before and then barely eats her meal. How do you approach the cinnamon biscuits before you start? Is that something you pound away at, get a couple salads here, and then you're stuffed? Or is it moderation at its finest? I hate moderation. I love going right to town.
Well, the reason why you want to go with moderation on the bread is that you want to make sure that you save room for your entree and you can get the bread to go. Like, if you ask them for the bread to go, make sure you give a nice little bit of a tip there because they're being generous. They're giving you the bread to go. Yep. You can always have more when you leave. So it's one of those things where you want to make sure that you save some room. You go like one or two early on. If you've got extra room, maybe you go for one or two more than normal, but make sure that you get the bread to go.
Man, I love it. Boy, I love myself a good meal. It's right around lunchtime here on the East Coast, ready to feast in. But I'll tell you who's feasting, Greg, right now. It looks like it's those Los Angeles Dodgers. Last week we had you on. We were talking about, hey, wonder where SKUBAL's going to go. If he does go to the Dodgers, voila. Saturday night, late night on the East Coast here, Greg. Tarik Skubal to the Los Angeles Dodgers, the prohibitive favorite to win the World Series back-to-back times. When you saw that information come down on Tarik Skubal, what'd you think? Oh, no, Dodgers, here we go?
Yep, I thought that they were just inevitable, and I thought that the Tigers need to get more out of this.
Yeah.
Like, let's just call it what it is. There are some people are saying, oh, yes, they got Zaire Hope, and that's a good prospect, but you've got nobody that has proven. Like, there were a lot of rumors out there that they might be able to get Emmett Sheehan, someone like that. And so you've got a guy in River Ryan that made 4 starts in 2024 and has been injured ever since then. So for the Tigers, it just felt like they need to get a little bit more. I thought that the Dodgers were going to get Tarik Skubal. I didn't want them to get Tarik Skubal, but that's just a world that we live in. We need to live on planet Earth, and this was very much expected. And now the Dodgers, they just feel like They've got more than everyone else right now. It's them versus everyone else. And if you're looking to bet futures right now in Major League Baseball, you probably, if you don't want the Dodgers to win the World Series, want to be looking like at AL pennant futures, odds to win the division, not the NL West, things like that, because I don't want to be betting against the Dodgers right now.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani is still the favorite to win the National League MVP, but I thought it was interesting where you see Yordan Alvarez having a sensational season, skyrocketed up because it looks like he won't be traded, so he's probably going to be the AL MVP. But let me bring this up, too, because, there's a lot of education that goes in the handicap. It's like, hey, my favorite team is the Phillies. I bet them every night. I always look at the season here, Greg, let's just say in increments, right? Start of the season, colder temperatures, everybody think they can win. Start to get to the May and June. You start to have the contenders and the pretenders, but everybody's still mostly trying to win. Coming out of the All-Star break, you start to see it settle in, and now as we get to the first week of August after the trade deadline, I call it the haves and the have-nots. And you're going to see teams that were once minus 135s, minus 145s, let's just say if these teams played in May, now 165s, 175s, and 185s. The change, maybe the evolution of your season, Greg, do you take a look at things differently in there where it's apparent? Teams are trying to actively win. Teams are actively looking towards if we even have baseball in 2027.
Yep, absolutely. It's a big momentum shift because some of these teams where it's like, all right, maybe they're a little bit of a top-heavy team. They're about 500. They trade away those pieces at the top, and now they're no longer a team that should be 500. So that's massive. And every year, though, there's one or two of these teams that sell. They bring up their young guys, and all of a sudden they play some good baseball. Like the Washington Nationals last year were actually a pretty good example of this. They made you some money. 2 years ago, the Tigers actually traded away Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline, and they still made the playoffs. So there's still going to be one or two of those underdog teams that are going to provide a lot of value. And then there are going to be some dead dogs out there as well, looking at you, the LA Angels.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get into some of these games on the Major League Baseball card today. And there are the Philadelphia Phillies, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. A lot of rain today on the East Coast throughout the part of the day. But as I was just starting to do the show, some sun peeking through. Alvarez going to take on Nola, which is always, Greg, a lightning rod. Overnight, 145s, 150 in the marketplace. Most places now, Greg, even going as high as minus 165 or so as a favorite towards the Philadelphia Phillies. Total of around 9, and also the Nationals playing good baseball, hitting a ton, I should say. Luis Garcia on the move there. He now goes to the Yankees. You move out one of those left-handed bats. Nola's always interesting to me because you want to fade him right off the bat. You see the ERA, at least over the past 60 days, over 5. His xFIP numbers started to come down just a bit here, and even the xFIP minus right around 100. How do you play this sort of game once again after the trade deadline here? I don't think obviously Arai is going to be in the lineup for the Phillies tonight, but Alvarez versus Nola. Can you trust Nola? Is he still a fade for you?
He's still a fave for me now. He had a much better start against the Miami Marlins. They lost that game that was on Aaron Nola. I think that was a 1-0 game. Not much you're going to do if you're Aaron Nola there, but for the Washington Nationals, even though they do trade away a few guys like Luis Garcia, they just traded away. He was having himself a heck of a season, but still have James Wood, still have CJ Abrams, unless if he gets moved, which I don't think that he's going to. And I like the fact that they're starting Alvarez here. We were thinking it might be Zach Littell, like Fangraphs was projecting Trevor Williams overnight. This is a massive upgrade. And for Alvarez, he's getting over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's keeping the ball in the yard. Aaron Nola's giving up 2+ home runs per 9 innings. Being able to get a pretty nice plus number here on the Washington Nationals, calling my name because I just still don't trust in Aaron Nola, even after that good start a few days ago.
Yeah, muggy day here in Philadelphia, but when you take a look at James Wood, his last 30-day statistics, Greg, 81 at-bats against right-handed pitching, 362 ISO, 455 weighted on-base percentage, and then another lefty you're always going to like in that lineup, CJ Abrams, hammering the baseball. His last 69 at-bats against right-handed pitching, a 456 ISO and a 526 weighted on-base percentage, and both of those guys, very good at the plate, not striking out. We'll see if it makes a difference tonight in Philadelphia, but they are the favorites here, and we'll see if they get the job done. Cardinals and the Yankees tonight. The Cardinals, one of those teams still looking to make some moves to trade away players, where the Yankees looking to add players like Garcia that we just talked about. Cam Schlittler's going to be on the mound, one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. You just take a look at his last 60-day splits here. I mean, come on now, an xFIP minus of 72, an ERA 2.64, a Sierra sparkling at 277. Heavy favorites tonight here. How do we play out the Yankees game here?
Cam Schlittler has really good numbers, except at home. He has a 1.25 ERA away from home. It over triples at home. Now, Michael McGreevy pitches, so a lot of contact, 5.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, but the Yankees just have not been able to hit this season. They're getting reinforcements with Luis Garcia. We'll see if he's going to be in the lineup or not. But even with them, it's a team that over their last 35 games, they're clearly missing Aaron Judge. They're averaging less than 3.5 runs per game, albeit there were some not so great hitting conditions over the weekend out there at Wrigley Field. When the wind's blowing in, it's hard to hit. But still, for the Yankees, they've really been struggling on offense. The Cardinals, they are fourth in offensive production away from home. They actually average over 5 runs per game away from home. They're last in the National League in terms of scoring at home. A little bit of a wacky split there, but being able to get this big of a plus number, I'm seeing a lot of places at plus 160, even higher on the Cardinals. I just put myself on the plus money with the way that Schlittler has really struggled at home.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, too, because overnight you're looking at that minus 190s, minus 195s. But again, today, the 215s, the 220s enter into the marketplace. And just looking at Schlittler's overall numbers, always very good. But also a team in the Cardinals last 30 days struggling with right-handed pitching. We'll see how that one plays out. But it's a heavy favorite, around 80 degrees here at the start in that game in the Bronx. We flip it over, and here we go. Dodgers and the Cubs today, as everybody looking forward to the new-look teams. It looks like SKUBAL is going to get his first start. Not today, but will be in Chicago versus the Cubs. Robleski, the lefty on the mound, going to take on Boyd, also a lefty. 8s to 8.5s in the marketplace. Mostly now, Greg, the 8.5s from last night gone to 8s total. But a slight favorite for the Dodgers, minus 120, minus 125, depending where shopping. I know a lot of people do this. Hey, man, I can get the Dodgers at this price. I'm just going to take them. But remind us, they just lost 3 games here. And now on the road against the Cubs with a short price. How do we play out the Dodgers and the Cubs tonight?
Yep, and they are coming off of Sunday Night Baseball. And typically, I like to fade a lot of teams coming off of Sunday Night Baseball. Not going to be as willing to do so here, mainly because Matthew Boyd, he hasn't really impressed me since coming off the injury list. The ERA is low, but he's not getting the same swing and miss. Overall for the season, 8.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. Since coming off the injury list, that goes down to 6.2. And you've got a Dodgers team that I think a lot of people would be surprised to know. They're much better offensively away from home rather than at home. They're averaging about 4.4, 4.5 runs per game at home, 5.7 away from home. So this is a good spot for the over, in my opinion. The wind is going to be blowing in towards the daytime, but it's going to be blowing out a little bit more towards the nighttime. So perhaps in the late innings, you get a few more runs. So I'm in on the over. I do think that this is a good bounce back spot for the Dodgers, especially with Justin Robleski being as good as he has been this season.
I like it because here's also when you take a look at the analytical numbers, we look at Matthew Boyd. It's like, hey, over the last 60 days since June 1st, 1.93 ERA. Just sign me up. That's fantastic. But then you take a look at the analytical numbers. XFIP minus number, 111, which is above. And then if you just take a look at that ERA compared to the Sierra, which is a 4.67, what it means in layman's terms is he's getting a little bit lucky the way he's pitching at this point. Sooner than later, it's going to catch up, and maybe it catches up today with those Los Angeles Dodgers. Another game on the card today, it's the Blue Jays taking on the Astros. If you look at the starting lineups, at least starting pitchers here, Bieber's going to be on the mound against Javier. Javier, a slight favorite at around a minus 125 price. You'll find some minus 130s in that marketplace, and a total listed at 9. What do we see tonight here from Houston? Because take a look at some of Bieber's numbers. Not looking so hot here, Greg.
No, he's not. He has looked a little bit better recently. 2 runs or fewer allowed in 3 of his last 4 starts. Last start didn't even make it out of the first inning, though. So that's an issue. But here's the reason why I like the under. The Blue Jays haven't hit all season long. Like, Flagler Jr. is still stuck on 6 home runs. Kazuma Okamoto is the lone guy on the roster with 12-plus homers. The lineup has not gotten any better here at the trade deadline, even though they actually trade for Jose Soriano, which thought that was an interesting move to say the least. And for the Astros, a lot of people would be interested to know their bullpen was terrible at the beginning of the season. They had nothing going on. Since Josh Hader has come back, since June 1st, 3rd in the league in terms of bullpen ERA, Javier has been mainly coming out of the bullpen. They're trying to build him back up. He's never going to be the same guy he was 3 or 4 years ago, but since June 1st, using that date once again, 3 ERA, he's been much better. I like the under and the Astros as a result in this game.
Yeah, take a look, too, at the Astros. Their first 7 batters in the lineup against right-handed pitching over the last month here. All high ISO power numbers, really good weighted on-base percentages, and not a ton of strikeouts there outside of Christian Walker. Strikes out about 34% of the time against righties. But just looking at Bieber on the season, 141 batters here, hasn't looked good. Last 30 days, 98 batters, struggling against right-handed batters. But you take a look at Yordan Alvarez in that lineup here. And again, he is a lefty. Last 80 at-bats against right-handed pitching, a 446 ISO and a 616 weighted on-base percentage here. Maybe some runs on the horizon here for those Houston Astros. We keep moving here, and a team that you just love to talk about, it's the Rockies in Colorado. And you look at that total today, Greg, 11.5. Why? Well, it's Colorado, but also 95 degrees at first pitch tonight in the Rockies. Seymour is going to be the starter here for the Rays. Then you take a look at the Rockies with Michael Lorenzen. And by the way, they had a really good start yesterday from the Rockies, which most people probably didn't think it was even going to be the case with Freeland. Can we get bounce back good starts here? Or does it look like another Friday here, basically, for the Rockies?
Completely different animal here, because for the Colorado Rockies, they were facing the Royals yesterday, who are dead last in the big leagues in terms of run creation away from home. What a disappointment in Major League Baseball has been the Kansas City Royals. I do like the over here because Michael Lorenzen, you mentioned how hot it is. You mentioned all the elements that we've got over at Colorado. He's got an 80 ERA at home to start with. Michael Lorenzen has been absolutely terrible. Ian Seymour is actually a pretty good power pitcher. He gives you over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. Personally, I probably wouldn't want to mess around too much with the run line because with the Tampa Bay Rays, this is a team that's going to be acquiring some pieces. They'll probably be getting there within the next day or two. And it is a Rockies team that is actually hitting quite well as well. To their credit, guys like Hunter Goodman and company have stepped up. They didn't trade away a ton of bats at the trade deadline, so you still have most of that lineup intact for the Rockies as well. So I like the over. If you're looking for a chalkier money line, maybe like a parlay piece or something like that, like the Rays, just can't get there on the plus number with the Rockies.
Yeah, and also, who's actually going to be in that lineup today? Just coming out with Ken Rosenthal, White Sox acquiring center fielder Brenton Doyle from the Rockies, according to sources here. So always buyer beware with the team that you're handicapping in the morning on trade deadline day. You might not have that same pitcher, the same closer, the same bullpen, the same starting lineup in there. So always a buyer beware. Padres and the D-backs doing battle a little bit later tonight. If we take a look at the starting pitching there, it's King versus Fought. 8.5s have now turned into 9s across the board here, but roughly a pick'em split. Minus 110s out there, minus 115s here between San Diego and Arizona. 9:40 start tonight out in the desert, Greg. Any looks tonight there?
Brandon Pfaadt, he's battling for your bankroll.
Yeah.
Most profitable pitcher in baseball since June 30th. The team is 6-0 since he rejoined the rotation, and one of those starts was against the Dodgers. He has been absolutely sensational. And Michael King, he's down to fewer than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Like, the ERA is so respectable for Michael King. He keeps the ball in the yard, and that's a little bit of the reason why I like the under of 9. 8.5 wouldn't have been willing to do so. At a 9, I'm willing to go in on that, but I really like the form of Brandon Pfaadt for the San Diego Padres. They're one of these teams that it feels like they're going to be relatively standing pat. I don't think they trade Mason Miller or anything like that, but they're probably not going to be buyers either. And low-key, the Arizona Diamondbacks won a series over the weekend against the Cleveland Guardians. They're picking up some steam. If the season ended today, they'd be in a wild card spot. Pfaadt has been a big reason why I'm going to continue to back them on the money line. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks here on a relatively pick 'em line.
Yeah, pretty good slate here on a short Monday card, as we know, but the deadline is taking place today. More trades will come down. We'll see if we get any shockers come across that landscape. But Greg, of the card today, what's the cream of the crop for you, or any other plays or maybe props that we didn't go over here so far?
Certainly, we just hit upon that. I really like the Arizona Diamondbacks, the way that Brandon Pfaadt has been fighting for your bankroll, so we're in on him. But also like the over out there in Milwaukee between the Pirates and the Brewers. Pirates offense has not been the same since the All-Star break, but you've got two guys that put a lot of men on base, with both Bubba Chandler along with Brandon Sproat. Over 4.5 walks per 9 innings. Brewers have been a top 6 team in terms of run creation. They just small ball you to death. Pirates tried to revamp that bullpen with Camilo Doval. Doesn't do much for me. They're still a bottom 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA, so I like the over out there in Milwaukee.
Fantastic stuff here. Thank you for joining us here on a Monday on Crossing Lines. He's Greg Peterson doing some damage here at the Texas Roadhouse and on the Diamond. We'll have you on once again here, Greg. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Monday. We really appreciate it.
Always appreciate you, Donnie. Thank you.
Fantastic stuff. We're going to take a quick break here on Crossing Lines. Jeff Nadu is going to return back, and we are going to talk about those Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders coming up next. Stay tuned. I talked a little Major League Baseball here, first week of August, but as we know and pointed out to start the show right here on Crossing Lines, this week, it's NFL week, Thursday night Hall of Fame game, and every single day we go live, we pick a team on a deep dive in alphabetical order, and the team today, Jeff, is going to be those Cleveland Browns. And just to preface this, I always had a soft spot in my heart for the Browns. Not over the last 25 years, they've been bad. But Jeff, growing up in the 1980s, Municipal Stadium, the mistake on the lake, Bernie Kosar and the boys, the heartbreak that they had to endure trying to get to a Super Bowl, whether it was the fumble or it was the drive, they could never get over the top. But always one of those, blue-collar cities you cheered for, the brown and orange and white uniforms, Brian Brennan, Webster Slaughter, all those, Mack in the backfield. But now it's a new look for those Cleveland Browns. I don't know if it's going to be a good look, Jeff. It's going to be new in 2026, though.
Yeah, very young team. A lot of excitement, though. I'll try to sell to you why I think they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, we're going to have a good conversation about them, too, because, it does start with the quarterback. But talk to me, Jeff, about this team in itself and how we approach the offseason. Didn't really go out and get a big-name quarterback. Said, no, got some young guys in the building. We have a veteran who stole a lot of money. But the Myles Garrett trade really set the tone moving forward of what they wanted to do. Make Myles Garrett happy, get a nice return back, and move on with their future, Jeff. Wild offseason for the Browns.
It's funny. It's rare, when you lose your best defensive player, one of the best defensive players of the last 20 years in the NFL, it's rare you would assume the defense will take a major step back because of that.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm not so sure. I think this is still a very good defense, and I'll explain. Look, as that states, 5-12 last year. Weren't very good. But now you're asking me to basically win one more game with the easiest schedule in the NFL. I mean, per strength of schedule numbers. So they have a new coach, Todd Monken, who, if you know anything about the Monken family, very offensive based, right? He's going to come in and hopefully figure out an offense that only averaged 16.5 points a game last year. It's funny, Donnie, I heard Stephen A. Smith make a comment recently that if Deshaun Watson can't win this quarterback job, he should retire. And he's not wrong, right? I mean, look, Shedeur Sanders is a guy who showed at times some growing pains, but he also showed some ability at some points. It's a battle. But Watson, Monken has talked pretty good about, right? There's not much of an excuse. I mean, they have a lot of young talent on this team. You go out and get a terrific receiver in Denzel Boston, again, unproven, but one of the best receivers in the country last year. You also had Casey Concepcion, who I had as the third best receiver in the draft last season. You already have Harold Fannin, a really good young talent, a guy who should have won the best tight end that year in his final year at Bowling Green. You have Jerry Jeudy. You have Quinshon Judkins. Yeah, this team's really young, but there's a lot of excitement. You have to figure, if you get into the 20s, right, with that defense, you don't have to score that many points. Look, we talked about the Bengals the other day and stating that they don't really need to get that many stops because the offense is so good. This defense only gave up 22 points a game last year. This defense was fourth in total defense in the NFL, and I'm going to get to the defense in a second. But, Donnie, yes, I'm really more excited to this team because we know about the trenches. If you can just address trenches and be good in them, which they are on the defensive line generally always, even with Jared Verse over Myles Garrett now. But you look at this offensive line, it's sneaky good, okay? You add Spencer Fano, one of the best tackles in this draft. In fact, probably the best tackle in the draft outside of one. You add some veterans, Zion Johnson. You add Elgin Jenkins at center. Tevin Jenkins last year was 8th among guards in the NFL as far as Pro Football Focus. Titus Howard didn't allow a sack last year. This is weirdly kind of a sneaky, decent offensive line now. But it always, as usual, as we've talked about in all these previews so far, it comes down to the quarterback. And if I told you I think they're in a better position than some, you might not believe me. I actually think Deshaun Watson, getting him out, easy throws to start with. I just want to ask you first about the offense, and then I'll get to the defense. Yeah. There's really no way to go but up, right? And there's a lot of talent on this team, young talent.
Now, here's what I like, Jeff, because, we start out, and the key that everybody's talking about the Browns is, we know they're going to have a solid defense, right? New coach comes in, going to change some concepts. But the question is, you're not good until you find yourself a quarterback. And I'm always the proponent. I'm not saying right now, Jeff, I'm not in camp, that Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders or vice versa. But you have got to be kidding me if Shedeur Sanders is not your quarterback this season, game number one. And I love how you preface this, because how do you build things in the NFL? Well, yeah, you want a good defense to try to hold on while the younger offense tries to work it out. But you just pointed out, Jeff, you have Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver. He's not necessarily an old man. He's basically your one. You go out and draft 2 wide receivers you think can be the future of this team. You also said, Jeff, Quinshon Judkins, who got hurt last year, snapped his leg, but by all intents right now looks like he's ready to go. What does that give you? Young wide receiving core, but we didn't even talk about Howard Founan at tight end. Young, good tight end, young, good running back. I can't have Deshaun Watson there. I don't care if Deshaun Watson, Jeff, wins a game or two where he might be better than Shedeur. I have to figure out if my quarterback is my quarterback and who that's going to be. Long term, it's not Deshaun Watson. So in the quarterback debate, I need Shedeur Sanders playing, Jeff, right away.
So if I'm Todd Monken, that's what I'm doing. I'm setting the tone and saying, hey, look, I think it's very early in camp. He's going to obviously be positive about both quarterbacks. We all know, though, this whole, you're not going to go into the season thinking, we'll figure it out. No, you got to name a starter. And again, I agree. I think Shedeur gives you the better opportunity to win. I thought at times this year he was talented. He looked good. Seems like he had a big chip on his shoulder. I think he's more likely to be a much more decent quarterback than not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I think weirdly, though, what's his ceiling, right? I don't foresee that he's he's not the next Michael Vick, for God's sakes. But, I think he could be a better version of Jacoby Brissett, right? Where he is a serviceable starter for a long period of time. Do I think he's a superstar? Probably not, but I agree. You go with the younger quarterback, you go with the rookie, you go with the more electrifying guy. Look, Mr. Watson has not been the same quarterback really since the COVID, for being honest. He gets injured a lot. You have to set the tone if you're Todd Monken. And again, you don't want to be a passive guy where it's you don't want to upset people. You got to set the tone and say, you know what? He's our starter. You're the veteran. You have to coach this kid up. You got to be that second guy and be ready for us if we need you. That said, this defense is where I think they can win. 5.5's too low. I don't bet win totals really at all.
I don't think they go, to be honest, Jeff, the 5.5, I don't think they make the playoffs, but I do think that 5.5 is in play. Because the one thing you have to understand, too, is you're trying to build a foundation. The defense, they could have very easily said, okay, we're going to trade Myles Garrett. Just give us draft picks here. Yeah. They get Jared Verse back. Mm-hmm. And any Eagles fan that knows Jared Verse, that guy game wrecks the Philadelphia Eagles game plans. But also, Jeff, you know what they showed you? Denzel Ward, we're going to pay you. We're going to pay you as well, our safety in Delpit, which means they're not waving the white flag. Like the Dolphins and the Jets, dude, this season is a complete waste. The Browns aren't telling you that. Now, it is a low 5.5, but this isn't a team that goes, hey, you know what? And again, if you start Shedeur Sanders and you don't see that much progress, they're probably not going to try to win too many football games, Jeff, in the month of December, because if they do get a legitimate quarterback, watch out. But I don't think this is a franchise where it's we're downtrodden, which they are, but we're actually not trying to put a good product out there because they're saying to you, as well as you are, that's a talented defense. We have playmakers on offense. Can we hang around?
And look, I'm not going to try to sell to you that it's a fair trade between Verse and Garrett. Garrett is transcendent,
the
right?
Best. Yes.
But Verse is really good.
He's really good.
And he's only 25 years
young.
Old, right? They need to get Malik Collins back healthy, a big defensive tackle. Obviously, that'll help in the run game. I'm going to tell you something, though. Here's who I expect a big year from. Mason Graham, okay? Young kid out of Michigan.
Came in the trade.
Yes, I'm very high on Mason Graham. He's a guy who I think is another name you're going to hear a lot about. You mentioned that secondary, one of the best in the NFL. There was talk maybe they'd move Delpit. I'm glad they didn't ultimately do it. Throw in, you go out and get Emmanuel McNair-Warren, who they've got to hope. They hope that's the next Quinyon Mitchell type player from Toledo, right? They've had a good pedigree as far as putting guys into the NFL. He's going to make this team and be a good depth piece for them. Ronnie Hickman's a good safety. Tyson Campbell's a good corner. I think this defense is really good. Are they a top 4 defense total-wise like they were last year? No, but I don't think they're going to fall off too much. This is still a very good team. One thing they will do, and I was surprised, Jadeveon Clowney signed with the Texans, which I got to tell you, I know that Clowney never became the player we thought he'd become. A lot of people thought he'd be the next, Warren Sapp or something. Still a very productive player, though, at 33 years old. I would have liked to have seen them go out and get him. I think you need one more pass rusher on this roster, which I think they'll get. Maybe Leonard Floyd, someone like that. Give you 3, 4, 5 sacks. You need another pass rusher here. But again, I ultimately think I'm pretty bullish on the Browns. Again, maybe making the playoffs is a little bit of a shock. But something tells me there's going to be a shock in the NFL this year. I could see somehow them sneaking in and winning like 8 games. I think 5.5 is too low. Again, easiest schedule in the NFL. Let's go through it quickly here.
Yeah.
I mean,
they didn't do them any favors to start the season, those first 2 games.
No, they didn't. That said, I don't think they're impossible, right?
Yeah.
I think the Jags will be a big public favorite week 1.
Yes.
That they're going to be, look, a solid touchdown dog. It wouldn't surprise me if, with a little, that defense maybe shuts down Trevor Lawrence. They're right in the game. The Panthers, again, that's at home. I think that's winnable. Like, there's a lot more winnable games than you would think on this year. They got the Titans. They got the Jets. They got the Saints, the Raiders. I mean, those are possibly 4 wins right there. Let's say you win 3 of them. You got the Giants, who aren't great. They're winnable games. They'll win a divisional game or 2. I just think 5.5 is too low. I think 7 is where they are.
It'll be interesting, too, because here's the interesting part about the schedule. They didn't do any favors to start. At Jacksonville, at Tampa. You probably go 0-2, but you can beat Carolina, even though Carolina thinks better than them. Still home game. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Who knows what Pittsburgh is going to be? But you see, Jeff, that one stretch starting November 15th. Houston at home, 1 o'clock. Bye week. 3 straight. November 29th, December 6th, and the 13th. Now, granted, I don't think any of those games... Or maybe, I don't know if this shows. Oh, no, it's not. So they're all actual home games. They're not neutral sites anywhere. Vegas, Cincinnati, Atlanta. That's a chance where you can really pick it up. Like, let's just say, Jeff, even if you have 2 wins before you hit that bye, you can win 2 out of 3 coming right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think if you have the win total, which I do, it's one of the only ones I'll bet this year. That first 3 games, I need 1 win out of those 3. If I can get 1 win, throw in. Remember, towards the end of the season, it's all divisional games. You may have teams that have locked stuff up. That could be a win you'll get that you didn't think you'd get. I don't. Some people say it's crazy that the Browns will make the playoffs. They haven't made. When was the last time they made the playoffs? It's been a while.
Actually 3 years ago, Jeff. 2023, 11 wins. Out of nowhere.
I guess, outside of that, they don't get there very often. But look, do I think they'll win 11 games? No. But I think 7 or 8 wins isn't out of the question. 5.5 is too low. I would have made it 6.5, the number. To me, you're getting a game of value here, which you don't see much in the NFL. Throw in, Donnie, week 1. It's about where I thought it was. Like Cleveland, 7.5 week 1 against the Jags. That's a strong bet, I think. This is a Browns team that, again, is always going to be in games because of their defense. I think there's a lot of thought that the Browns are just going to fall off because they lose Myles Garrett. And look, he's a great player, but the truth is, it's not as big a drop-off as you would think. There were a lot of games, especially early on, where they were right in it. I mean, Donnie, you remember last year, what was it, the second game of the season? They beat the Packers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Look, they beat, they should have beat the Bengals in week 1. So they're right in games. They've had some rough ones, but I'd expect quarterback plays better. They're much more talented than they were. Like the end of the season, they're way more talented than they were this year. The final game of the season, Donnie, right? Mm-hmm. Listen to this skill position group. Rushing, Dylan Sampson, Raheem Sanders, Malik Corley. Receiving, I mean, Isaiah Bond, Cedric Tillman, Travion Williams. I mean, this team got way better at the skill position.
Yeah, they were bottom of the barrel in offense overall last year, but set up the change. So I got 2 questions here for you on the Browns, Jeff. First one, game number 1, Watson or Sanders?
It's got to be Sanders. And I think, again, if you're Monken, you have to set a precedent. You can't be too passive. Try to be friends with people. You don't want to upset Deshaun Watson. Look, he's a professional. It's how the world works. Look, he's still making a lot of money. Like, at the end of the day, it's not – no, it's going to be Shedeur. It has to be Shedeur. And Watson, look, be ready if we need you. We may need you.
And by the way, if you do have Deshaun Watson – and/or Shedeur Sanders starting in game number 1. Question out of the chat box is here. Could this season go off the rails, and will Dillon Gabriel actually get some action? Because they got action last year, just trying quarterbacks out because the season was lost. Do we get that this year?
No. I think, again, you want to be negative with the Browns. I get that. Obviously they're a team that do screw a lot of things up. But if we're really looking at it and we're saying to ourselves, okay, if there's 10 really good quarterbacks or 10 serviceable quarterbacks, maybe 12, right?
Yeah.
Like, is the situation that bad? I mean, you don't just have like one starter and it's like nothing else. Like, let me ask you, what quarterback situation would you rather have? Michael Penix coming off of an ACL injury and Tua Tagovailoa, or two healthy quarterbacks in Watson and Shedeur Sanders?
I probably would still go to Atlanta just because
it's not that far off.
I think, yeah, exactly. It's because the upside is still there, but the injury is there. But again, just let Shedeur go. Just let him play football because, Jeff, two things happen. Number one, you find that he's your franchise guy. It's a win. Number two, you find out he's not your franchise guy. You win 4 games. Your franchise guy comes next year. Because I just keep getting back to, Jeff, they did the right thing. Get young wideouts, get a young tight end, get a young tailback. Now go find the quarterback. There you go.
Well, and look, this is the problem you run into when you bet on bad teams to do good things.
Yeah. Yep.
Because eventually if it's, middle November and they have 1 win or 2 wins, it's like, well, let's just be really bad and screw it up and go out and get an Arch Manning or something. Here's what I will say for Browns fans. I don't think you're that far off. I really don't. I think in the next 3 years, they will become something again. Because the good thing is, as you alluded to, you either do better than average this season and it's a win for you and you have a long-term option, or you don't. You go out and get a quarterback next year and you bring him into a system with a ton of young talent. You got a pretty damn good defense. And remember, you lose Garrett, but like Verse is only 25. Mason Graham isn't even 25. The secondary is fairly young. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement and optimism if I'm a Cleveland fan. I think they're going to be better than average normal. Quickly.
8 teams down, Jeff, as we go through our season previews. Tomorrow, the Dallas Cowboys on deck. Always a lot of fun in that.
Another team I like a lot.
Moving forward here, we're getting closer to the NFL season starting, which on Thursday night it's going to do that. But, Jeff, before we move on and talk about some of those trending topics, we know a lot of these teams are building new stadiums. Like you take the mistake on the Lake, which was Municipal Stadium. They knocked that down, because why? Well, the Browns left town technically to go to Baltimore. They gave them a new team. They rebuilt the stadium out there. It's time for a new one, which means it will be a dome, and they're going to go turf because it's hard to keep up grass. Number one in the Northeast, or let's just say in the Rust Belt there, freezing cold in the winter. And number two, it's going to be a dome. Many people don't like it, Jeff, but it's the way it is. To me, the Browns always should be outdoors. And the Browns having a brand new spanking stadium, kind of crazy, man. It looks like a nice one. I do like the translucent roof where you let the sun in, but they're going turf as opposed to grass, which they have grass now.
So I'm actually part of, I guess it would be the minority.
Yeah.
I would prefer that every stadium in this country is a dome. I think we have to get to the realization that watching a football game
as
like
a gambler,
Denver,
yes.
New England, no, but but if you're watching it for an enjoyment standpoint, there's nothing enjoyable about watching Denver, New England last year.
Yes, it is. Yes, there is. I disagree on that.
We're not in. It's like watching football in the fucking 30s. Nobody wants to watch that. How cool is it when the game's up and down? Like one of my favorite betting situations, Donnie, is when I see UTSA in college football at the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast track. Give me like a UAB who's just going to throw the ball 60 times a game. North Texas. Like it's first to 50 wins. It is pogo stick pinball football, but it's great. I'm sorry. I don't think it's enjoyable to watch. Like when you watch these old football movies, right? Like, the football's dreadful. Like, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch Friday Night Lights, Booby Miles up and down the field, like Dallas Carter up and down the field. Nobody wants to watch sloggy. Those teams couldn't even run last year. It sucked.
It's nice. Every once in a while, Jeff, you get a little snow out there. You get a little Shady McCoy going nuts against the Detroit Lions. Like, you can get some good stuff there, but I feel you at this point. But that's Cleveland Browns. Optimistic Jeff Nadu is for the season here. Me as well. I'm optimistic more on the future than the season itself because there's a couple ways they can really win the season without even winning many games. If I just see Deshaun Watson out there wasting time where we're not seeing who our future quarterback's going to be, that's where I get upset, Jeff.
I do have one other comment, and you're 100% right. I agree wholeheartedly. We got to go Shedeur, but I think we were talking about money earlier, right?
Yeah.
if you're a NFL owner, what exactly is the selling point of outside games? Like it's a much better fan experience. It's much more sellable.
Cheaper. I'll tell you, used to be, Jeff. That's why.
But
cheaper
I'll tell you
this, not build a dome. Yeah.
I've discussed before. I have literally no interest in going to games. Okay. Basketball, totally different. It's inside. Now the Sixers have LeBron. I'm absolutely more willing. Do you know what would get me to an Eagles game?
Yeah.
If it was inside.
Oh, wow.
I have no interest.
Get ready. It's coming in about a decade. So.
Yeah, I have no interest in being outside. Like, I love, like, maybe it's just me, but I've always been bougie, Donnie. Yeah. I'm a bougie guy. When I go out, I don't stand with all the other plebes in the middle of the dance floor. I get a fucking table, regardless of whether I'm in Lancaster or Miami. I don't care. Yeah. I don't want to go to an NFL stadium and be around like assholes throwing each other down concourses. I want to be with the wine and cheese crowd. Nice sunglasses on. You're having a nice meal. I want it to be like
drinks are always on the arm with you, Jeff, aren't they? Huh? Always
I love that. I love like the Cowboy Stadium. Like that looks like a palace to me. I would love to sit down there with have like a table to sit at.
Yeah, who's the Yes Chef guy that always goes around and pays like $30,000 to sit like courtside with all the amenities, man? That guy eats the shit out of that food, man.
That's the cool thing about being rich. I was thinking I buy a Powerball ticket, Donnie, every Saturday afternoon. Yeah. And there's that thought in your head.
It is. Like, wow, it's a great thought. Yeah.
What if I win, right? Yeah. And I thought about that. Like one of the perks that I would is like I would go to a lot of games because when you're rich, going to games is way cooler. Just like people try to sell you that
chauffeured in. You're not, you're right up to the front door. You walk right in. Yeah.
You sit courtside, nobody in front of you. You eat, you leave. But like traveling, I was talking to a guy at the bar the other night about this. How when you're poor, traveling is not fun. Like, it just isn't. Like, going through airports and, like, it just sucks.
Bus terminals.
Right. But think if, like, right now, I could call to Lancaster Airport and be like, yo, I'm going to, like, tonight, I'm going to Hustler Casino Live to play poker tonight. Yep. I need you here in an hour. It's just way cooler.
Yeah.
Doing things when you have money is way cooler. And going to a game in that palace that's the Jerry World, like, they did do the stadium right, for being honest. Look at the LA stadium. They all look dope. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, they did. AT&T Stadium, man, doing a big deal down there in Dallas, Jeff. Some of these trending topics that we like to get to and have some fun with. You see, like, baseball fights, Jeff, and he's like, what, is it Major League Baseball? No, we have one here through John Boy Media. The Mexican League. Danry Vasquez was tagged out in the rundown. Then, Jeff, they just started throwing bombs on each other at this point. And for Major League Baseball, the guys are running in from the bullpen. Nobody throws punches, Jeff. These guys were getting down right here, man.
Yeah, I looked into this. I think this was the, Tijuana Toros and the Cerros Monclova. This was a good one.
Bang! Oh, man. Jeff got him with a combo,
that's a nice right
too.
hook.
Yeah, got him with a combo. Now, throwing the mid at the guy, what's that do with anything, man? Come on now. Mid ain't going to do much.
Yeah, you see these once in a while. I mean, he didn't like the way he was tagged.
Oh, and a kick.
When I was in Little League, I used to hate when you would tag someone like that. They, like, tag you. It's like, yo, get off me, bro. Like, I don't know. He's probably just irritated.
Tag him in the face. By the way,
that's a nice shot, bro.
That is a nice shot. And he got a kick on the ground, too. Like, you could tell. And then he got clotheslined. So you had a little WWE mixed in with a little boxing at this point. Again, Major League Baseball is big for, hey, man, you throw me over there. And everybody clears out. Nobody throws punches. These guys were about their business right there, man.
Yeah, that third baseman got popped, man. Look at him holding his nose. You could tell he got popped, man.
Was.
That base runner, man, he looks like that's a guy I wouldn't want to mess around with. Look at that guy.
By the way, Jeff, do you ever go to a pool, like a community pool or like a swim club, as they call them? No. Not even as a kid. Like we have like the diving boards. We have the high dive. You ever been the one with a high dive? They don't do it much because it's probably hard as hell to get insured.
I hate.
Do you see this video, Jeff, that we're running right now?
I posted this on Instagram. I want to talk about this right here. This is
go ahead.
This is extraordinary footage, and I'll say why. Are you aware of how high that is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's essentially 91 yards. That's almost how
football field.
Right.
Yeah.
272 feet is in nearly 91 yards. He survived this. This is hard to fathom.
Is he naked? What is that, Jeff?
He took his clothes off, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. Yeah. This is hard to fathom. I mean, hitting the water at that height, and he had very minimal injuries. I mean, think about that. It's hard to measure in stories, but that's like 15 to 20 stories high.
Yeah.
It's not like...
That's like the water would feel like concrete at that point. I'm pretty sure, Jeff, he's not like a diver and it's like, ooh, let me perfectly put my body in the water like you see them. Like this dude probably hit us. Bang!
Yeah, so this individual will, for the foreseeable future, be in Bellevue, which is a psychiatric facility. This is
they
clearly...
give a reason, Jeff? What was the reasoning behind it? Like, why was he doing that?
Oh, he's got mental issues, clearly. I mean, no normal thinking person behaves like this. This is a blankicide attempt. This is him. He had some sort of flags in his pocket or in his bag. Nobody knew what it was. He was, I believe, from like one of those Stan countries, like Kazakhstan. Yeah. His last name was Abdulvayev or something. This goes to the same level of like those people that climbed the Empire State Building a couple of months ago. Was that
those
in July?
People wild, man.
That was when I was at the
World
World
Netflix
Series.
Is wild about that couple, man. I can't
but like
believe
those, it. Like this is like this is a mental problem. Like you don't do these things. These aren't normal things people do.
Who the hell would want to jump off a bridge, man? You gotta be kidding me.
The fact that he survived is pretty insane, though.
Insane.
I would love to know what his like internal injuries are, if he has any. But yeah, he's going to be in the psychiatric facility for a while.
Jeff, big events, right? They usually like to bring in the best anthem singers, whether or not just playing the guitar, playing the trumpet, belting it out. And there's something nostalgic, right? You get the flyovers, you get the fireworks, you get the great anthem. Let's watch a championship game or whatever it might be. But Jeff, one of the worst anthems that we've seen over the weekend, and I believe it was from a women's softball league, I want to say at this point. Do we have tape of this where we can hear it? Because I was flabbergasted at how bad it actually was. Listen.
You see by the dawn's early light stars through the perilous fight, or the rapper, the bombs bursting in.
How did she pass through, Jeff? Like, you got to send in a tape or you got to sing it live. That can't be it, this trio. She's singing on reverb herself.
For this. All right, enough. Yeah, I don't know how she got past. I mean, I don't know where is even that. It looks like America somewhere.
Yeah, by the way, we got to stop putting on like women's softball on TV. Did you see now, Jeff? Even there's like the girls' World Series softball for the kid. We don't need any of this. We don't need women's softball on TV. We actually should
stop showing women's sports in general.
Boom. There you go. Now you're on a take.
Yeah,
go ahead with that take.
It's not good.
Yep.
It's again goes back to the same argument I tried to make. If like a man should not be a gynecologist. Like there's certain things that we don't want to see women doing, and certain things we don't want to see men doing.
Yeah.
If I went to a daycare and I had a kid and there was a man there, I would go to another daycare. If I called the police and a woman showed up, I wouldn't feel that safe. We have to stop pretending that this isn't what everyone's thinking. Yes. We all agree it. That's
mean though, Jeff. That's very mean-spirited here. It's like saying, "Hey, you know what? I get to pick my bodyguard out, and it's a 5'3" female as opposed to the 6'8" ass kicker out here, dude." Come on.
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, there's you can get offended. I live in the 2000s.
I don't get offended. I like it. I hear what you're saying. You're picking it up and putting it down, and I'm getting it, man. I am.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying here.
It sucks. We were talking about Sopranos earlier. Did you see Meadow Soprano sung the?
Yes, Lenny.
Anthem?
By the way, many people don't know that Lenny Dykstra is her father-in-law. Man,
yes.
Lenny Dykstra's a wild dude.
Yeah, Cutter
man.
Dykstra is her husband.
Yes.
Sure. Do you actually know she did a show with AJ, right?
Yeah, they do it. They have a podcast together, right?
They featured one of my theories once on there.
Which one?
They played it. The theory about AJ basically he didn't know it, but he unwittingly set his father up to die through Rhiannon, who I believe was involved. But at any rate, she was actually very good. The Meadow, I thought she was good. She's a nice lady, battling MS, I believe. I think she has MS.
Crazy.
So good for her.
Goodness. Yeah, look at that Meadow out there singing it out. By the way, Jeff, I've swam my whole life, but I'm not technically a swimmer. Hey, be on the swim team. No, I can't. I don't swim like that. I just swim for pleasure, and I'm not going to drown. But did you see this latest, Jeff? This dude swam for 56 straight hours. Now, I don't have the thing up. I think it was like, was it Norway to Sweden or whatever it was? Nobody's ever done. The Baltic Sea, I want to say. 56 straight hours, Jeff. 100 miles. He swam. Good Lord, man.
Yeah, you know, these
Sweden and Poland. Yeah.
So stuff like this, like, I think, like when you run, right? Like far distances.
Yeah.
Like after a while, like it's just like normal. So I feel like this is like some people could just do shit like this, right? It's as far though. No sleep. Yeah, some people just have the ability to do this. It's funny you brought this up. I had a video on my Instagram. It got like 6 million views this weekend.
What was it? No, what was it?
I found a video of, so you know all those like immigrants that were entering Spain the other day?
Correct.
There was a guy that swam the whole way, and he had like a camera, and he was like filming himself, vlogging, like doing it. It was wild. But yeah, no, these athletic feats are fascinating. Look, I consider myself, I'm not exactly some He-Man or anything, but you know, I run more than, I don't run 12 miles. That's incredible.
Like that's just pain at that point. Like you ever hear like the stories like David Goggins, who just like does like 100-mile marathons by himself. Like they have a team, Jeff. You can have pick like 3 or 4 guys to run like 125 miles. He does it like himself. Like some people just like that test of insanity. Like you tell, hey, Donnie, you got to tread water for 5 minutes. I'm tired. This guy just swam 56 hours.
I always remember, when you related to yourself, like,
damn.
When I did Rough and Rowdy, I remember people were like, dude, like, I could throw punch. Like, it's like, okay, number one, stand in a circle and try to shadow box for more than 30 seconds.
Yes.
Number two, try to hit someone as they're hitting you and moving around too. Like,
looks easy.
Everyone thinks everything's so easy until it's like, hey, get in the water and swim 500 feet.
Yeah.
And it's like, this guy swam 56 miles.
It's just gassed out here. By the way, Jeff, you're a big movie guy, right? When's the last time you went to the movies, though?
Wow. It's been a very long time. I've talked about movies. I think movie theaters freak me out personally. I don't like sitting in them.
Why though? Why would they freak you out?
It's just
shooter. Who?
I've talked before.
Fire?
I don't like sitting in places where I'm trapped, right? So I don't like sitting in parked cars. It concerns me. I like being able to see everything.
Yeah.
And like those little walkways that you like walk up to the theater, just anybody can go in. There's no security. And yes, I very much researched the Aurora shooting. It is, when you're in a movie theater, you are trapped. Okay. Yeah. And I just like having control of my exits, and you don't have them. Throw in the fact that nowadays, the way movies are, generally a lot of films come out pretty quickly anyway. The last film I saw, you know what it was?
What was it?
I wanted to see this movie so bad that I went through it and just did it. White Boy Rick.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in that case. I thought he had an interesting story.
He's selling some Egyptian AKs over here.
Yes, yes. Yeah. White Boy Rick. Yes, it's a great film. That was a while ago though. Before that, I was probably in high school.
Yeah, I am going. I have tickets, which I had to buy like 3 weeks in advance for the Odyssey, but to see it in IMAX. So I'll be doing that this weekend here. But Spider-Man, people are loving this movie, Jeff. Like, you see how much money so far? $355 million there that it made over the weekend, basically. Like, I'm just not a superhero guy. Spider-Man does nothing for me, Jeff, at all.
You would have to pay me at least $1,000 to do that. I've never had interest in. I don't have any interest. Like, what even is the Odyssey? I have no interest in any of that crap.
Yeah, you ever see like the movies like Troy and stuff like that? Just the Greek ancient stuff. I love stuff like that. It's cinematic. It's really big. I know a lot of people panned it, and I technically agree. But understand this too, Jeff. I'll leave you at this point. Like, in order now to win an Academy Award, you can't just do a good movie. Like, you have to actually fill out parts. Like, DEI plays a part, and you got to put like a transgender in there. You got to put like, a minority as the lead role. There's a lot of things. And if you're not willing to play, you're not going to win an award. So the Odyssey caught a lot of heat, Jeff, for putting people in some spots that probably didn't make the most sense. But if you're an actual person who wants to win an Academy Award, I guess you got to do it these days.
Yeah. No, I think films also just went down in quality. They're just not as good anymore.
Yeah.
I watched, so Sunday night, I usually watch a movie, like just, how to not be on the computer or playing poker or something. You know what I watched last night? It's pretty good. I haven't seen it in years. Fast and the Furious, like the original one with Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, like the first one. It was like 2001.
I like the second one with Tyrese, where his famous catchphrase is "Pockets ain't empty, bro." Like I used to get down with those. I don't watch them anymore though. So.
Oh yeah, I haven't. Yeah. I didn't see any past the second one, but the original one is good. I will say though. Paul Walker, may he rest in peace.
What's he got, Jeff? So what about his personal life, Jeff? Come on now.
No, his acting he was not a good actor. Like his acting in Fast and the Furious original. Throw in he's a pedo as well. He was with a girl that was 16 years old and married her. Yeah. Again, Dom Toretto's great. Vin Diesel, great in that movie. But the acting
it all fits. I enjoyed the early ones, but I can't tell you that I've seen one since. Like I think people are giving up on like Tokyo Drift. I mean, come on now.
You didn't watch Fast 7 or something?
Jesus,
The Rock's in it or something?
Exactly. All getting upset where Ludacris and all that. Yeah, but those like the movie franchise made a lot of money, but I was at it after like 2 or 3, or basically since Paul Walker left. Yeah,
and Paul Walker, I actually never looked much into his death, but I never knew he died in a car wreck. I never knew he was so involved with it. I never knew that.
Driving away. Well, there you go, Jeff. A Monday. What better way to start the week than right here on Crossing Lines? If you're watching now, thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment, like, and also hit that subscribe. We're all around on social media. Donnie Rightside at Donnie Rightside, at Jeff Nadu here, at Crossing X Lines here. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on social media. Follow us all over the place. Follow us, by the way, for a pot of gold coming up soon. We could start handicapping some of these games as they go live, Jeff. But that'll do it today. As we told you, tomorrow, Dallas Cowboys, the next team down. Also, Jeff, one of your favorite guests coming on here, Step On Duck. Your boy Josh will join us tomorrow to do a little Big 12 preview and so much more. How about that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having Duck on. Josh Nunn, he's a great football handicapper. If you've watched some of the content out there, he's done a lot with different groups, and I'm excited to talk college football with him. The Big 12 is a fascinating conference, and I think we're going to disagree on one team in particular. I know he's not very high on, so I'm excited about it. We talk about the Cowboys as well. Should be a good show.
Big show tomorrow, people. That'll do it for today. Trade deadline in effect. Football on Thursday night. For Donnie Rightside and Jeff Nadu and the whole crew at Crossing Lines. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern.